Right now, someone is deciding whether you're worth their time, and they're making that decision in less than 10 seconds. It's not based on your intelligence, not based on your accomplishments, not even based on what you say. They're judging you on something far more primal, something you've never been taught to control. What if I told you that every conversation you've ever had followed an invisible script, or script written by ancient social hierarchies, childhood programming, and biological impulses you're not even aware of? And what if I told you that the most charismatic people in the world have learned to rewrite that script? You've felt it before? That moment when you walk into a room and somehow, inexplicably, you just don't click with anyone, when your jokes fall flat, when your stories bore, when you leave feeling invisible, wondering what's wrong with you? Here's the truth. Nothing is wrong with you. You're just speaking the wrong language. A language that has nothing to do with words. The people who seem to magnetically attract others, the ones who walk into any room and own it, they're not more interesting than you. They're not smarter than you. They've simply learned the 92 scientific techniques that transform ordinary conversation into human connection. Techniques so subtle, so counterintuitive, that most people will live their entire lives without discovering them. Today, we're going to change that. We're diving into How to Talk to Anyone by Leil Lowndes, a book that decodes the hidden language of charisma. But we're not just going to read it. We're going to rewire your social operating system, one technique at a time. In the next 2 hours, you'll discover why your smile might be repelling people instead of attracting them. Why maintaining eye contact the way you've been taught is actually creepy. Why the words "me too" are killing your conversations. And why the most powerful compliment you can give someone has nothing to do with compliments at all. We'll journey through 9 transformative parts. Part 1 reveals how to intrigue everyone without saying a word. Part 2 shows you exactly what to say after hi. Part 3 teaches you to talk like a VIP. Part 4 makes you an insider in any crowd. Part 5 creates instant rapport. Part 6 masters the psychology of praise. Part 7 shows you how to direct dial people's hearts. Part 8 teaches you to work a room like a seasoned politician. Part 9 breaks through the most treacherous glass ceiling of all, the one in people's minds. Let's begin this transformation. Because by the end of this journey, you won't just know how to talk to anyone. You'll understand the hidden psychology that governs every human interaction. And once you see it, you can never unsee it. Part 1. How to intrigue everyone without saying a word. What if the biggest conversation mistake you're making happens before you even open your mouth? Scientists have discovered something shocking about human judgment. We don't just make snap decisions about people. We make micro-snap decisions. In the time it takes you to blink 3 times, someone has already categorized you as friend or foe, winner or loser, somebody or nobody. And here's the part that should terrify you. That first impression becomes a lens, through which they see everything else you do. This is why Lowndes begins with a countdown. You have exactly 10 seconds to signal that you're a somebody, not 10 minutes. At the length of a conversation, 10 seconds. Less time than it takes to tie your shoes. But here's where it gets interesting. Being a somebody has nothing to do with wealth, status, or achievements. It's about projecting a specific energy that triggers an ancient recognition in the human brain. The same recognition our ancestors used to identify leaders, allies, and mates. And the first technique for triggering this recognition will completely revolutionize how you smile. The flooding smile. Stop smiling at people. You read that correctly? It's the instant, automatic smile you've been trained to flash. It's killing your charisma. Here's why. When you smile immediately upon meeting someone, your brain registers it as a social reflex. Meaningless, possibly fake. Like a cashier saying, "Have a nice day." Instead, look at the person first. Really look at them. Let your face stay neutral for a split second. Then let your smile flood across your face like a sunrise. This delayed reaction sends a powerful subconscious message. I'm not smiling because it's polite. I'm smiling because I've seen you, and you make me happy. Try it tomorrow. Walk into any interaction and delay your smile by just 1 second. Watch how differently people respond. It's like switching from a 20-watt bulb to a spotlight. But a smile without the right eye contact is like a Ferrari without an engine, which brings us to sticky eyes. Most people think good eye contact means staring at someone. Wrong. Dead wrong. Good eye contact is like conversational glue. When someone is speaking, Your eyes stick to theirs like they're the most fascinating person in the world. Even when they finish talking, you don't immediately look away. You let your gaze linger for an extra beat, as if their words are still resonating in your mind. But when you're talking, that's when most people destroy their charisma. They look away, thinking it makes them seem thoughtful. Instead, it makes them seem insecure. Maintain that eye contact even when you're searching for words, especially when you're searching for words. It shows confidence in your own thoughts. Now let's talk about epoxy eyes. This is the advanced version. When you're in a group and someone else starts talking, don't immediately shift your gaze to the new speaker like everyone else. Keep your eyes on the person you were just talking to for an extra 2 seconds. This subtle move communicates something profound. You are more important to me than whoever is speaking now. It's social gold. Here's a technique that sounds bizarre, but works like magic. Hang by your teeth. Pretend you have a leather bit in your mouth, like a horse. Now imagine someone is pulling you forward by that bit. This visualization automatically improves your posture in a way that projects confidence without looking stiff. Your chest opens, your shoulders relax back, your head positions perfectly. You look like someone who owns their space. The big baby pivot takes this physical presence to the next level. Watch how excited children turn their entire body toward something interesting. They don't just turn their head, their shoulders, torso, hips, everything pivots. Most adults have been socialized out of this. We give people partial attention with just our heads while our bodies point elsewhere. But when you give someone the big baby pivot, turning your entire body toward them like they're the most interesting thing in your world, you create an instant connection. Want to make someone feel like you've known them forever? Use "hello, old friend." When meeting someone new, don't think stranger. Did imagine they're a beloved friend you haven't seen in years. This mental shift completely changes your body language. Your face softens, your voice warms. Your entire energy becomes welcoming. The other person feels this shift and mirrors it back, creating instant rapport. But all of this falls apart if you're fidgeting. Limit the fidget isn't about becoming a statue. It's about understanding that every unnecessary movement is a subconscious signal of anxiety. Touching your face, adjusting your clothes, shifting your weight. Each fidget is like a neon sign saying, "I'm uncomfortable." The most charismatic people have an almost supernatural stillness. They move deliberately, purposefully. Practice this. For one conversation tomorrow, become aware of every movement you make. You'll be shocked at how much nervous energy you're broadcasting. Hans's horse sense comes from the famous clever Hans, a horse who seemed to solve math problems, but was actually reading micro-expressions in his trainer's face. Humans do the same thing, constantly broadcast our internal state through tiny facial movements. The technique? Become aware of what your face is saying when you think no one is watching, because someone is always watching. And they're making decisions about you, based on that split-second expression they caught when you thought you were invisible. This brings us to a crucial principle. Watch the scene before you make the scene. Most people burst into social situations like bulls in china shops, the masters. They pause at the threshold. They read the room's energy. They identify the key players, the mood, the unspoken dynamics. Only then do they enter, calibrated perfectly to the social frequency already in progress. It's like a musician finding the key before joining a song. Think about what we've just uncovered. 9 techniques. And we haven't even spoken a word yet. This is the invisible game happening in every interaction. The game that determines whether people see you as a somebody or a nobody. Whether they're drawn to you or indifferent. Whether they remember you or forget you existed. Tomorrow, practice just one of these techniques. Choose the flooding smile or sticky eyes. Watch how differently people respond. Because here's the secret. Charisma isn't about becoming someone else. It's about mastering the subtle signals that let the real you shine through. But knowing how to project the right energy is only half the battle. Once you've captured someone's attention, you need to know what to say. And the 12 techniques in Part 2 will revolutionize your small talk forever. Part 2. How to know what to say after you say hi. You've just executed the perfect flooding smile. Your sticky eyes have created a connection. The person is engaged, interested, waiting, and then your mind goes blank. The dreaded post-high silence descends like a fog. Your charisma evaporates. the moment dies. Sound familiar? Here's the truth nobody tells you. The difference between awkward small talk and magnetic conversation isn't confidence, it's preparation. The most charismatic people in the world aren't winging it. They're armed with 12 specific techniques that turn mundane chit-chat into memorable connections. Let's start with what seat. This is social dynamite disguised as accessories. Whenever you go anywhere, wear or carry something unusual, a unique piece of jewelry, an interesting bag, a conversation piece that begs the question, what's that? This isn't about peacocking or showing off. It's about giving people permission to approach you. It's a social gift, an easy opening for someone who wants to connect but doesn't know how. But what seat works both ways? Become a detective of interesting items on others. That unusual watch, that vintage pin, that's your golden ticket to a conversation that starts with genuine curiosity instead of weather commentary. I've never seen a watch like that. Does it have a story? Boom, you're not making small talk. You're inviting someone to share something meaningful. Wusat takes this concept and applies it to people. Before any social event, become a name detective. Find out who's attending. Google them. Not in a creepy way, but in a prepared way. When you can say you must be Sarah, the photographer David mentioned, you've just elevated yourself from stranger to insider. You've shown effort, interest, and social intelligence. But here's the advanced move. Use eavesdropping. No, not creepy eavesdropping. Strategic eavesdropping. At any gathering, conversations are happening all around you. Listen for interesting topics, then wait for a natural pause. I couldn't help but overhear you mention Barcelona. I'm planning a trip there. What shouldn't I miss? You've just joined a conversation with value, not interruption. Now, let's destroy 3 conversation killers that most people commit without realizing it. Never the naked city means you never just say where you're from. From Chicago is a conversation stopper. From Chicago, where the wind is so strong it once blew my grandmother's wig, into Lake Michigan is a conversation starter. Always dress your city in a story. Never the naked job follows the same principle. I'm an accountant induces social comas. I'm an accountant, which means I know exactly how much money people waste on coffee every year. Want to guess that's intriguing? You've turned a label into a doorway? Never the naked introduction is perhaps the most powerful. When introducing to people, don't just exchange names. Give them conversation fuel. John, meet Sarah. Sarah just got back from teaching English in Japan, and John's daughter is thinking about doing the same thing. You've just created an instant connection. You're not a name exchanger. You're a relationship catalyst. Be a word detective means listening for the words people emphasize, repeat, or say with emotion. These are their hot words, the topics they're dying to discuss. Someone mentions they're exhausted from the move. The hot word isn't exhausted, it's move. Ask about it. Someone says they finally finished the project. Finally is your clue. There's a story there. Most people hear words. Charismatic people hear the emotions behind them. The swiveling spotlight is conversation magic. Imagine every conversation as a spotlight that needs to move between participants. Most people either hog the spotlight or hide from it. Masters swivel it. They share the stage. After you've told a story, swivel. That reminds me of your trip to Peru. Didn't something similar happen? You're not just talking. You're conducting a conversational orchestra? Here's a simple technique that works like a charm. The latest news. Don't leave home without it. Before any social event, spend 5 minutes scanning unusual news stories. Not politics or disasters. Interesting, quirky, conversation-worthy news. Did you see that story about the octopus that learned to open jars? You're never stuck for conversation when you're armed with fascinating tidbits. But here's what makes all of this work. The mindset shift. Stop thinking of small talk as empty chatter you need to endure before real conversation. Small talk is the on-ramp to connection. It's the social foreplay that makes deeper intimacy possible. Master it, and you master the gateway to every meaningful relationship. These 12 techniques transform you from someone who dreads the post-high moment to someone who owns it. You become the person others want to talk to because you make conversation feel easy, interesting, and meaningful. Practice this tomorrow. Choose one technique. It's maybe what seat. Wear something interesting. It's maybe word detective. Listen for the emotion behind the words. Watch how differently conversations flow when you're equipped with tools instead of hoping for inspiration. But we're just getting started. Knowing how to start conversations is powerful. Knowing how to elevate them to VIP level, that's where the real magic happens. And the 11 techniques in Part 3 will show you exactly how to do it. Part 3. How to talk like a VIP. What's the difference between someone who sounds important and someone who sounds like they're trying to sound important? It's not vocabulary, it's not volume, it's not even confidence. It's something far more subtle and far more powerful. VIPs, truly important people, communicate differently, not because they're trying to, but because they've internalized certain patterns that signal status, intelligence, and social sophistication. Once you understand these patterns, you can adopt them instantly. Let's start with the most counterintuitive technique, parroting. Your kindergarten teacher was wrong. Repeating someone's exact words back to them isn't mockery, it's mastery. When someone says the project was incredibly challenging, and you respond with challenging how, you've just done something profound. You've shown that you're listening so intently, you're using their exact vocabulary. Not hard how, not difficult how, their word, challenging. This isn't mimicry. This is musical. You're playing in their key, using their notes. It creates an unconscious recognition. This person gets me. VIPs do this naturally because they've learned that connection trumps creativity in conversation. Encore takes this even further. When someone shares a success, a story, or an experience they're clearly proud of, give them an encore. Wait, go back to the part where you convinced the CEO. How exactly did you phrase that? You're not just listening, you're directing. You're saying, that was so good, I want to hear it again. Do you know how rare this is? Most people are waiting for their turn to talk. You're asking for a replay. It's VIP level attention. Now, let's talk about their hot button. Everyone has a topic that lights them up. Their passion project, their hidden expertise, their secret obsession. VIPs have a supernatural ability to find and press these buttons. How? They ask questions that go beyond surface. Not, what do you do? But what part of your work do you find most fulfilling? Not, do you have hobbies? But what do you do when you want to lose track of time? The exclusive smile is psychological genius. You have different smiles for different people, right? Your child gets one smile, your boss gets another, your lover gets a third. VIPs understand this and use it strategically. They develop signature smiles for different relationships, a warm, crinkly-eyed smile for friends, a respectful, closed-mouth smile for authority, a slow, knowing smile for intimates. Each person feels they're receiving something custom-made, not mass-produced. Here's where most people destroy their VIP potential. Don't touch it with a 10-foot pole? Hot enough for you? Working hard or hardly working? Another day? Another dollar? Every is a missed opportunity to be memorable. VIPs speak in original thoughts, not recycled phrases. Instead of how's it going? Try what's the best thing that's happened to you today. Instead of see you later, try I'm looking forward to our next conversation. Use your personal thesaurus. VIPs don't use bigger words. They use better words, more precise words. Instead of good, they might say refreshing or satisfying or unexpected. They don't reach for the thesaurus. They've built one in their mind. Start collecting words like a sommelier collects wine notes. When you hear a word that perfectly captures something, store it, muse it, make it yours. Kill the quick me too. Might be the most important technique in this entire section. You know that impulse? Someone says they love sushi and you immediately blurt me too? Stop. Just stop. That quick agreement kills conversations. It's a dead end. Instead, let them own their statement. Ask about it. Explore it. What got you into sushi? Do you have a favorite place? Later, much later, you can share your own sushi story. But first, let them have their moment. VIPs understand that conversation is not a competitive sport. Communication flips the entire script of how we talk. Count how many times you say I in your next conversation. I'll count how many times you say you. VIPs have a ratio that heavily favors you, not in a manipulative way, a genuinely interested way. I went to Paris last summer because you mentioned wanting to travel. Have you been to Paris? It's the same information, but one makes you the star and one makes them the star. Guess which one creates connection? The tit-for-tat trick is advanced psychological Aikido. When someone shares something meaningful, a fear, a dream, a vulnerability, match their disclosure level exactly. Not bigger, not smaller. Exactly, they share a small work frustration. You share a small work frustration, they open up about a deep fear. You match with similar depth. This creates psychological safety. It says we're at the same level of intimacy. You're safe here. Make a compliment a boomerang. When someone compliments you, the rookie move is to deflect. Oh, it was nothing. The intermediate move is to accept. Thank you. The VIP move is to boomerang. Thank you. Coming from someone with your design sense, that means everything. You've accepted the compliment and returned it with interest. It's conversational judo. The killer compliment isn't what you think. It's not about finding the biggest thing to praise. It's about finding the thing no one else notices. VIPs have laser vision for the subtle. It's not great presentation. Instead, the way you pause before revealing the quarterly numbers built incredible suspense. It's not nice dress. Instead, that color makes your eyes look like amber. Specificity is the difference between flattery and impact. Little strokes throughout the day create more connection than grand gestures. VIPs understand the compound interest of small acknowledgments. I like how you phrase things. You have a gift for making complex things simple. Your energy changes the whole room. These aren't lengthy compliments. They're drive-by affirmations. But they accumulate in people's minds, creating an association. Being around you feels good. The grapevine technique is how VIPs create reputation without self-promotion. Never tell someone how great you are. Tell someone else, knowing it will get back to them. I was just telling Michael how impressed I was with Sarah's problem solving. Sarah will hear about it. And because it came through the grapevine, it carries 10 times the weight. You're not bragging, you're appreciating. Behind their back. Here's what all these techniques have in common. They flip the focus from you to them. VIPs don't talk like VIPs because they're trying to impress. They talk like VIPs because they've learned that making others feel important is the ultimate power move. Tomorrow, try just the killer compliment. Find something specific, something unnoticed, something true. Watch the person's face change. Watch them light up in a way generic compliments never achieve. That's the VIP effect. You're not just talking, you're transforming how people feel about themselves. But talking like a VIP only gets you so far if you're still an outsider. The next 6 techniques will show you how to become an insider in any crowd, anywhere, instantly. Part 4. How to be an insider in any crowd. You walk into the room. They're all lawyers, or artists, or engineers, or entrepreneurs. They share a language, inside jokes, unspoken understandings. You're the outsider, the visitor, the one who doesn't belong. Or are you? What if I told you that insider versus outsider isn't about time, experience, or credentials? It's about subtle signals that anyone can learn to project. 6 specific techniques that transform you from tourist to native in any group, any culture, any crowd. Be a come-hither person. This is about energetic architecture. Most people in new groups either shrink or peacock. Insiders do neither. They create what physicists would call an attractive field. Open posture, relaxed shoulders. A slight forward lean that says, I'm interested, without saying I'm desperate. They position themselves at 45-degree angles to others, creating easy entry and exit from conversations. They're magnets, not walls. The nutshell resume revolutionizes how you introduce yourself to new groups. Outsiders give their whole history. Insiders give just enough to intrigue. I help companies tell stories that make people care. Beats, I'm a senior marketing manager with 15 years of experience in brand development. One is a conversation starter. The other is a conversation stopper. Create 3 versions. 10 seconds, 30 seconds, 90 seconds. Deploy based on interest level. Your personal jargon is about linguistic code switching. Every group has sacred words. Lawyers don't have meetings, they have conferences. Programmers don't fix, they debug. Artists don't work, they create. Listen for the vocabulary. Yes. Use it naturally, not forcefully. Yes. It's like speaking with the local accent. It signals belonging. Learn a little of their lingo goes deeper. You don't need to master their field. You need to know enough to ask intelligent questions. Before meeting with any new group, spend 20 minutes learning their basic terminology, current challenges, and recent victories. I read about the new regulation affecting your industry. How's that changing things for you? Boom, You're not an outsider asking generic questions. You're someone who cared enough to prepare. The quality detector is how insiders reveal themselves. They notice what others in the group would notice. At an architect's gathering, comment on the building's design. Chefs, mention the knife work. With parents, spot the developmental milestones. You're not showing off knowledge. You're showing appreciation for what they value. It's the difference between a tourist taking photos and a local noticing details. The trash to trite technique eliminates outsider tells. Every group has questions they're tired of answering. Writers hate, where do you get your ideas? Doctors hate, what's the grossest thing you've seen? Tech people hate, can you fix my computer? Know these landmines and avoid them. Better yet, acknowledge them. You probably get asked about fixing computers all the time. So let me ask you something different. Bluffer's Bible is your secret weapon. Create a one-page cheat sheet before entering any new group. Key players, recent news. Major concerns, industry heroes and villains. Sacred cows and revolutionary ideas. You're not faking expertise. You're showing respect by doing homework. When you can say, I was reading about your industry's shift towards sustainability, what's that looking like from the inside? You've just separated yourself from every other outsider they've met. But here's the meta principle. Insiders aren't trying to prove they belong. They assume they belong. It's not arrogance. It's alignment. They're interested, not interesting. They're curious, not impressive. They ask questions that show they understand the game being played. Think about it. When you're with your oldest friends, do you try to impress them? No, you relax into belonging. That's the insider energy, calm curiosity, genuine interest, prepared presence. The transformation is immediate. Use these techniques and watch how differently groups receive you. You're not infiltrating, you're integrating. You're not performing insider, you're becoming insider. Practice this at your next event. Choose a group you know nothing about. Use the nutshell resume to introduce yourself efficiently. Deploy learn a little lingo to ask one informed question. Watch how the energy shifts. Watch how they open up. Watch how you go from visitor to one of us in minutes, not months. But becoming an insider is just the beginning. The next level is creating such deep rapport that people feel like they've known you forever. And that's exactly what Part 5 will teach you. Part 5. How to sound like your peas in a pod. Have you ever met someone and felt like you'd known them your whole life? That instant connection, that eerie familiarity, that sense of where have you been all my life? It wasn't magic. It wasn't destiny. It was technique. 7 specific techniques that create the feeling of lifelong connection in minutes. The mutual motive detector is like having telepathy for hidden desires. Everyone you meet wants something. Not in a manipulative way, in a human way. Recognition, understanding, excitement, peace. VIPs develop radar for these underlying motives. They listen not just to what people say, but why they say it. Someone brags about their promotion. They want recognition. Someone complains about their boss. They want understanding. Match the motive, not just the words. Make em feel they owe. You is psychological alchemy. When you do someone a favor, they feel indebted. When you let someone do you a favor, they feel invested. Insiders know. Asking for small favors creates stronger bonds than giving them. Could you recommend a good coffee shop around here? What's your opinion on this? Could you help me understand? You're not being needy, you're being strategic. Ben Franklin called this the most powerful bonding technique he knew. Echoing goes beyond parroting. It's musical mimicry. Match their pace, their energy, their volume, their formality level. If they speak in short bursts, you speak in short bursts. If they're animated, you animate. If they're contemplative, you contemplate. You're not copying, you're harmonizing. You're saying in the language beneath language, I'm like you. We're the same tribe. The potent imaging technique paints pictures with words. Don't just tell stories. Create scenes. Not the meeting went well. Instead, you should have seen the CEO's face when we showed the numbers. His eyebrows actually hit his hairline. Not, I'm tired. Instead, I feel like I've been hit by a truck driven by Monday morning. Vivid language creates shared experience. They don't just hear your story. They live it with you. The empathizer reads the emotions behind the words and reflects them back with precision. Someone says they're fine with a promotion that went to someone else. Don't take fine at face value. That must be frustrating, working so hard and watching someone else get recognized. You're not putting words in their mouth. You're acknowledging what their tone already told you. This creates profound connection. Finally, someone who hears what they're really saying. The anatomically correct we uses pronouns like surgical tools. Early in relationships, I and you dominate. But insiders know how to strategically introduce we to create unconscious bonding. What do you think we should order? How should we handle this? We seem to have similar taste in movies. Each we is a tiny hypnotic suggestion. We're a unit. We're together. We're us. The premature we takes this to advanced levels. Use we slightly before it feels natural, not awkwardly early, but just ahead of the curve. It accelerates bonding by assuming connection. We should grab coffee sometime on a first meeting. We could tackle that project together with a new colleague. You're not presuming. You're proposing. You're painting a picture of future connection. But here's what makes all these techniques work. Authenticity of intention. You're not manipulating. You're accelerating natural connection. You're taking relationships that might take months to develop and compressing them into moments. You're removing the artificial barriers that keep people at arm's length. The magic is in the combination. Use echoing to create harmony, add potent imaging to create shared experience. Deploy empathizer to create understanding. Sprinkle in anatomically correct we to create unity. Suddenly you're not strangers who just met. You're kindred spirits who finally found each other. Tomorrow, practice the empathizer. In one conversation, focus entirely on the emotions beneath the words. Reflect back what you hear in their tone, not just their text. Watch how people's walls dissolve when they feel truly heard. Watch how nice to meet you transforms into, I feel like I've known you forever. But creating instant connection is powerful. Knowing how to use praise to create devotion, that's a superpower. In part 6, we'll teach you the difference between praise that falls flat and praise that changes lives. Part 6, how to differentiate the power of praise from the folly of flattery. Here's a devastating truth. Most compliments are forgotten in seconds. They bounce off people like rain off a windshield. Pleasant for a moment, then gone. But there's another kind of praise. The kind that burrows into someone's psyche and lives there forever. The kind that changes how they see themselves. The kind that creates unshakable loyalty. The difference isn't sincerity, it's science. 7 specific techniques that transform empty flattery into life-changing affirmation. Praise the tiniest trait. Everyone praises the obvious. The promotion, the weight loss, the new car. But the praise that penetrates souls, it notices the invisible. The way you organize your desk reveals a really elegant mind. I noticed you always let others exit the elevator first. That kind of consideration is rare. Your handwriting has this decisive quality that matches your personality. You're not reaching for compliments. You're seeing what others miss. The carrier pigeon compliment delivers praise through third parties. Direct compliments feel good. Compliments that arrive through others feel like destiny. Tell Sarah how impressed you were with Michael's presentation. Tell Michael how Sarah's attention to detail saved the project. They'll hear about it. Because it traveled to reach them, it carries triple the weight. You're not performing praise yet. You're sharing genuine appreciation that was so strong, you had to tell someone else. The implied compliment praises without praising. I was hoping you'd be on this project now. I know it'll be done right. Of course you figured that out. Should have known you'd find a creative solution. You're not stating the compliment. You're assuming their excellence. It's praise disguised as expectation, and it hits different neurological pathways than direct compliments. The killer compliment follows a formula: specific plus unexpected plus meaningful. Not great job, instead. The way you structured that third paragraph created a rhythm that made complex information feel like poetry. Not you're smart, instead. Your ability to see patterns where others see chaos is extraordinary. The specificity shows you're paying attention. The unexpected angle shows you see them uniquely. The meaningful connection shows you understand what matters. The accidental compliment is stealth praise. You're talking to someone else, and they overhear you praising them. You're on the phone. Hold on, Sarah just walked in. The one I was telling you about who solved that impossible problem? You're introducing them. This is Michael. Fair warning, he'll probably revolutionize how you think about your business. They're not supposed to hear it, which makes it feel true. The knee-jerk compliment appears spontaneous, but is strategically placed. Someone mentions a challenge they're facing. your immediate response. If anyone can figure this out, it's you. Someone expresses doubt. Your instant reaction. Are you kidding? You're the most resourceful person I know. It seems reflexive, unconsidered, automatic. Like your belief in them is so deep, it just spills out. The boomerang compliment returns energy with interest. They compliment your presentation. You respond, I was inspired by how you handled the Johnson account. I actually modeled my approach on what you did. They praise your idea. You return. It only worked because of the foundation you built. You're not deflecting. You're connecting. You're creating a praise loop that bonds you together. But here's the master key to all of these. Timing and rarity. Amateurs spray compliments like machine gun fire. Masters place them like sniper shots. One perfectly placed killer compliment per month creates more impact than daily generic praise. Quality over quantity. Precision over volume. The neuroscience is clear. Generic praise activates surface-level reward centers. Specific, unexpected praise activates identity centers. You're not just making them feel good for a moment. You're literally changing how they see themselves. And people never forget the person who helped them see their own greatness. Here's what nobody tells you about praise. The most powerful compliments aren't about making people feel good. They're about making people feel seen, really seen, in their complexity, in their effort, and their potential. That's why these techniques work. They demonstrate a level of attention that's become extinct in our distracted world. Practice the carrier pigeon tomorrow. Find something genuinely praiseworthy about someone and tell someone else. Make sure it gets back to them. Watch what happens. Watch how they look at you differently. Watch how they suddenly seek your opinion, your approval, your presence. You've just created a bond that generic compliments could never achieve. But we're still operating in the physical world. What happens when you need to create these deep connections through phones, texts, and messages? That's where Part 7 changes everything. It's Part 7, how to direct dial their hearts. The phone rings, your heart sinks. It's that person who always makes calls feel like interrogations. Or worse, you're the one making the call, and you can feel their reluctance through the phone. What if I told you that most people are doing phone communication completely backward? That 9 simple techniques can transform you from someone people avoid to someone whose calls they actually anticipate. The telephone trick starts before you even dial. Change your mental movie. Don't picture yourself bothering someone. Picture yourself delivering a gift, because that's what a good call should be. A bright spot in their day. Stand up, smile. Your body language affects your voice. People can literally hear your posture. When you call from a position of energy and warmth, it transmits through the wire. The I heard about you trick creates instant warmth with strangers. Sarah mentioned you're the person who really understands this stuff. David said you're the one I should talk to. I've heard such great things about your work. You're not a cold caller. You're a warm connection. Someone already vouched for them to you. They're pre-approved in your mind. The, oh wow, it's you trick works for people you know. When they identify themselves, your voice should lift with genuine pleasure, not fake enthusiasm. Real recognition. Their call just improved your day. Because here's the secret. People can hear authentic emotion. They know when you're glad to hear from them versus tolerating them. Be the person who sounds genuinely delighted. The party starter trick brings energy to every call. Most people answer phones like they're in a library. Quiet, cautious, contained. Masters answer like they're already in the middle of something interesting. Hey, perfect timing. I was just thinking about, you're not interrupting their day. You're adding to their momentum, your energy, not obligation. The how's it going trick seems simple but solves a universal problem. Never ask how are you on a call. It's too big, too vague. Forces a generic response. Instead, how's your Tuesday treating you? How's the new project going? How's life after the conference? Specific questions get real answers. Real answers create real connection. The let me call you back trick is counterintuitive genius. When someone calls at a bad time, most people suffer through it, distracted and resentful. Masters say, this sounds important. Let me call you back in 20 minutes when I can give you my full attention. Then they actually call back. You've just demonstrated that their call matters enough to deserve your complete presence. The message delivery trick transforms voicemail from necessary evil to relationship builder. Never just leave information, leave energy. Hi, Sarah. It's Michael. Just calling to say your presentation yesterday was masterful. The way you handled that difficult question, chef's kiss. No need to call back. Just wanted you to know someone noticed. You're not creating obligation. you're delivering joy. The "I'm so glad you called" trick flips the entire dynamic of incoming calls. Instead of "What's up?" try "I'm so glad you called. I was hoping to hear from you." Instead of "How can I help you?" try "Perfect timing. What's going on?" You're not being interrupted, you're being chosen, and you're grateful for it. The "What's a good time to call?" trick shows ultimate respect. Never assume your timing works for them. "I'd love to catch up properly." What's a good time to call when you can actually talk? You're not demanding their attention. You're scheduling their convenience. It's the difference between intrusion and invitation. But here's what makes all these techniques powerful. They recognize a fundamental truth about modern communication. We're all drowning in bad calls, sales calls, obligation calls, energy-draining calls. When you master these techniques, you become the exception. The call people actually want to take. The voice that adds instead of subtracts. The transformation is immediate. Tomorrow, use the "Oh wow, it's you" trick on every incoming call. Watch how conversations shift when people feel celebrated instead of tolerated. Watch how they open up, extend the call, share more. You're not just communicating, you're connecting. But phone calls are still 101. What happens when you need to work an entire room? When you need to navigate the complex dynamics of parties, networking events, and social gatherings? That's where Part 8 reveals the secrets of social navigation. Part 8. How to work a party like a politician works a room. Watch a master politician work a room. They don't just attend the party, they orchestrate it. Every movement calculated. Every conversation strategic. Every exit graceful. They leave with 30 new connections while you're still stuck in your first conversation, wondering how to escape. What's their secret? 11 specific techniques that transform social events from anxiety triggers into opportunity goldmines. The business card trick isn't about the cards. It's about the exchange. Amateurs fumble for cards, breaking conversation flow. Masters have cards in an easily accessible pocket. But here's the real trick. They ask for cards rather than giving them. "Do you have a card? I'd love to stay in touch." Now they control the follow-up. They're not pushy card distributors. They're selective collectors. The rubbernecking trick solves the universal party problem. How to look for better conversations without being rude. Masters position themselves at 45-degree angles during conversation, allowing peripheral vision. They maintain eye contact with their current partner while staying aware of room dynamics. When they see someone they need to meet, they can smoothly include them. Have you met Sarah? "Sarah, we were just discussing." The "come on to my house" trick creates instant intimacy in crowds. When you meet someone interesting, don't just exchange pleasantries. Paint a picture of future connection. "You mentioned you love Indian food. I know a place that makes naan that will change your life. We should go." You're not making vague promises. You're creating specific future memories. The "what's your story" trick replaces the deadly "what do you do" with an open invitation. What's your story? It allows people to share what matters to them. Maybe it's work. Maybe it's their recent divorce. Maybe it's their passion project. You're not forcing them into boxes. You're inviting them to choose their own adventure. The "I'm a friend of" trick turns cold approaches warm. Never approach someone cold at a party. Always find a connection first. "I'm a friend of Sarah's. She said you two worked on that amazing project together. Now you're not a stranger. You're a friend of a friend. You're pre-validated by association." The "I'll be right back" trick is escape artistry at its finest. Stuck in a dying conversation? Don't make excuses. Don't lie about needing the bathroom. Simply say, "I'll be right back" with a warm smile, and move on. It's not rude. It's mysterious. And if the conversation was good, you can actually come back later. The "let me introduce you to" trick makes you the hero of every party. When you meet someone, immediately think, who here would benefit from knowing this person? Then make it happen. You need to meet David. He's solving the exact problem you just described. You're not networking. You're matchmaking. Both people remember you as the person who connected them. The "see you later" trick replaces awkward goodbyes with elegant exits. Instead of "nice meeting you," say "see you later," or "let's continue this soon." It implies ongoing connection. Suggests this isn't the end, but the beginning. Even if you never see them again, you've left the door open instead of closing it. The "so we meet again" trick acknowledges repeat encounters without awkwardness. See someone for the third time at the same event? Don't pretend it's the first time. Don't apologize. Celebrate it. so we meet again. The universe clearly wants us to connect. You're not embarrassed by multiple encounters. You're reading it as destiny. The remember me, trick handles forgotten names with grace. Someone clearly recognizes you, but can't place you. Help them. I'm Michael. We met at Sarah's launch party. You were telling me about your trip to Japan. You're not testing them. You're helping them. Grace under social pressure creates powerful bonds. The let's not answer weeded trick acknowledges when events are draining. Find someone else who looks overwhelmed and conspire. Want to grab some air? I'm hitting my small talk limit. You're not complaining. You're co-creating an escape. Some of the best connections happen between people taking breaks from networking. But here's the meta principle. Politicians don't work rooms to collect contacts. They work rooms to create moments. Each person they meet should feel like they were the most important person in the room for those 2 minutes. Quality of connection beats quantity of cards every time. The transformation is immediate. Next event, use the rubbernecking trick to stay aware while engaged. Use the let me introduce you to trick to become a connector instead of a collector. Watch how differently people respond when you're orchestrating value instead of extracting it. But all of these techniques still operate within traditional social hierarchies. What if you could break through the most treacherous barrier of all? The one in people's minds that keeps you in a box. That's exactly what Part 9 will teach you. Part 9. How to break the most treacherous glass ceiling of all. There's a ceiling nobody talks about. Not the corporate one, not the social one, the mental one. The box people put you in within seconds of meeting you. Oh, she's the quiet one. He's the funny guy. She's the serious type. Once that box forms, breaking out becomes almost impossible. Unless you know these 9 techniques that shatter assumptions and force people to see you as their equal, or more. The big shut-in naming trick plants seeds of future status. Never talk about where you are. Talk about where you're going. Not I'm a junior analyst, but I'm learning the analytics that will revolutionize how companies make decisions. Not I just started, but I'm in the building phase of something big. You're not lying. You're revealing trajectory instead of position. The I'm impressed trick flips the power dynamic. High-status people rarely show they're impressed. When you genuinely admire something someone has done and say so directly, that was genuinely impressive. How did you think of that approach? You demonstrate that you're secure enough to acknowledge others' greatness? Only equals can truly appreciate equals. The URI trick is ego aikido. When someone's advice works, circle back and tell them, remember when you suggested I approach the problem from that angle? Genius. It completely changed the outcome. You're not being subservient. You're being gracious. And grace is the ultimate power move. The I'm on your side trick creates alliance instead of hierarchy. When someone faces a challenge, don't offer advice from above and join them at their level. That sounds incredibly frustrating. What are you thinking about doing? You're not the wise mentor. You're the strategic ally. Equals stand together. The let's talk it over trick transforms power dynamics through language. Instead of, can I talk to you? We need to talk. Try let's talk it over. It assumes equality. It suggests collaboration. Positions you as a thinking partner, not a subordinate or superior. The let's work it out trick approaches problems as a peer, not a pupil. When conflicts arise, don't apologize profusely or assign blame. Say this isn't working for either of us. Let's figure out a better way. You're not taking positions. You're solving problems together. The what do you think? Trick seems simple, but carries profound power. Ask this before sharing your opinion, not after. It shows you value their thinking as much as your own. But here's the key. When they answer, build on their ideas rather than replacing them. That's interesting. What if we also ... The you're the expert trick acknowledges domains of mastery. Everyone is an expert at something. Find it. Acknowledge it. Defer to it in that domain. You know this market better than anyone. What am I missing? You're not diminishing yourself. You're demonstrating that equals recognize each other's strengths. The I'm counting on you trick creates mutual dependence. Not I need your help, or you need to do this, but I'm counting on you for this piece while I handle that piece. It assumes equal contribution to a shared goal. But here's what makes all these techniques work. They're not manipulation. They're revelation. You're not tricking people into seeing you as an equal. You're removing the artificial barriers that prevented them from seeing who you already are. The ceiling in people's minds is built from first impressions, social conditioning, and lazy categorization. These techniques don't ask permission to break through. They simply assume a different reality until that becomes the reality. You're not fighting for status. You're operating from it. Tomorrow, use the "what do you think" trick with someone who usually dominates conversations. Watch how it shifts the dynamic. Watch how they start seeing you as someone whose opinion matters. Watch how equality isn't granted. It's assumed and then recognized. Remember where we started? That person deciding whether you're worth their time in less than 10 seconds? That invisible script running every conversation you've ever had? That feeling of being socially invisible, wondering what the charismatic people know that you don't. Now you know. Not just know, you possess. 92 techniques that transform random human interaction into intentional human connection. You've learned how to intrigue without words, how to turn high into meaningful conversation, how to talk like someone important because you understand what actually signals importance, how to become an insider anywhere, how to create instant deep rapport, how to give praise that changes lives, how to make every phone call a gift, how to orchestrate social events instead of surviving them, how to break through the ceilings in people's minds. But here's what's really changed: your entire understanding of human connection. You've discovered that charisma isn't a personality trait, it's a skill set. That magnetism isn't magic, it's method. That the difference between forgettable and unforgettable is usually just one technique applied at the right moment. More importantly, you've learned that these techniques aren't about manipulation or performance. They're about removing the barriers that prevent genuine connection. Every technique we've explored serves one purpose: helping you show up as the most authentic, connected, valuable version of yourself. The flooding smile that shows genuine joy. The sticky eyes that demonstrate real attention. The killer compliment that sees what others miss. The carrier pigeon that shares appreciation. The "oh wow, it's you" that celebrates connection. These aren't tricks, they're translations. They translate your internal warmth into external signals that others can receive. Because here's the ultimate truth, Leil Lowndes reveals. Everyone is walking around hungry for real connection, desperate to be seen, heard, understood, valued. And now you have 92 ways to feed that hunger. To be the person who makes others feel like they matter. To be the exception in a world of surface-level interaction. But knowledge without action is just entertainment. So here's your challenge, your turning point, your moment of choice. Tomorrow, you'll have dozens of interactions. Pick one technique. Just one. Maybe it's the flooding smile. Maybe it's berating. Maybe it's the killer compliment. Use it consciously. Watch what happens. Then the next day, add another technique and another. Layer them like an artist adding colors to a canvas, because that's what you're doing. Painting new possibilities in every interaction. Within a week, you'll notice people responding differently. Within a month, you'll feel your confidence transform. Within 3 months, you'll look back and barely recognize your old social self. Because you're not just learning techniques, you're rewiring your entire social operating system. The person who picked up this book looking for conversation tips, they're gone. In their place stands someone who understands the invisible architecture of human connection. Someone who can walk into any room, any conversation, any situation, and create moments that matter. You now possess what the top 1% of communicators know. The question isn't whether these techniques work. The question is, what will you do with this power? How will you use it? Who will you become? The world is full of people waiting to connect with someone exactly like you. They just don't know it yet. But now, armed with these 92 techniques, you can show them. You can be the person who transforms their day with a perfectly timed compliment, who makes them feel heard with sticky eyes, who creates belonging with insider techniques, who breaks through their mental ceilings and shows them new possibilities. This isn't the end of your journey, it's the beginning. Every conversation is now a laboratory. Every interaction is an opportunity. Every connection is a chance to practice mastery. Welcome to your new reality. The one where you're never at a loss for words, where small talk becomes deep connection, where you walk into rooms with quiet confidence, knowing you have the tools to connect with anyone, where you're not hoping for chemistry, you're creating it. The techniques you've learned from Leil Lowndes aren't just conversation tools. They're life tools. Because when you change how you connect with people, you change everything. Your relationships deepen, your network expands, your influence grows, your opportunities multiply. All because you learned the hidden language that everyone speaks, but few understand. So tomorrow, when someone decides in those crucial 10 seconds whether you're worth their time, they'll feel something different. They'll sense someone who sees them, who gets them, who makes them feel like they matter. And they'll be right. You're not the same person who started this journey. You're someone who understands that every human interaction is an opportunity for magic, and now you know exactly how to create it. The conversation starts now, and this time you're ready. If this transformation resonates with you, if you're ready to implement these techniques and watch your world change, then you're part of a special group. The group that doesn't just consume information but acts on it. The group that turns knowledge into power. The group that understands connection is the ultimate currency. Like this video if you're committed to practicing at least one technique tomorrow. Comment below which technique you're going to try first. And subscribe to join a community of people who understand that mastering human connection isn't just about talking to anyone. It's about transforming every interaction into an opportunity for authentic connection. Your new social life starts with your next conversation. Make it count. The journey through how to talk to anyone has equipped you with 92 scientific secrets. But knowing and doing are different universes, so let me leave you with this final thought. A thought that will determine whether these techniques remain interesting ideas or become life-changing habits. Every master of human connection started exactly where you are right now. Armed with knowledge, but facing the gap between theory and practice, the difference between those who transform and those who just informed. They picked one technique and committed to it until it became automatic. Then they added another. Like learning to play an instrument, one note at a time, until suddenly you're creating symphonies. You don't need to master all 92 techniques tomorrow. You need to master one technique today. That's it. It's one genuine flooding smile, one moment of sticky eyes, one killer compliment that changes someone's day. Start there. Start small. Start now. Because here's what Leil Lowndes knows that most communication experts miss. Connection isn't about perfection. It's about intention. Every technique in this book works not because it's manipulative, but because it's mindful. You're not tricking people into liking you. You're removing the static that prevents them from seeing who you really are. The most charismatic person in any room isn't the one who talks the most or shines the brightest. It's the one who makes others feel seen, heard, and valued. Now you have 92 ways to be that person. Your transformation starts with your next interaction. Make it legendary.